Hotline. Welcome to the Harold Washington Post 1987 Harold Washington Post TV show. And please do call in.
Thank you.
Now over to that fantastic commander, Bip, Bop, Bop, Bip, Bip, Bam.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the Harold Washington Hotline. This is a hotline. And sad note, now nobody died, but sad note that this is our last show for the season until September. But because this is our last show, they say the best for last. This is, when they say the best, this is the best. This is the top doctor that you could ever find when it comes down to dental care. We've been fighting this for many years about the VA dental health and stuff like that. And so now, as we call him as CVO, we call him Mark, but
Gentlemen, thanks for inviting me to this table of honor. This is really emotional for me.
and we're all part of CVO.
We're all part of CVO.
Yes.
I just want to give a heads up. Before I became a dentist, I was in the field artillery.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue that I'm fighting so hard for, we discussed in the waiting area before we came on camera. We see a tremendous analogy between what we're fighting now and exposure to Agent Orange till that was recognized appropriately by our country.
Yes.
Right.
We will not give up in the fight for getting more dental care in the VA system, just like they did not give up in the fight for getting coverage for kids that were exposed to Agent Orange and all the subsequent sicknesses that they had to endure.
Right. And see, now here's, I'm glad we have him here because, see, as far as the dental bill, ladies and gentlemen, it is very important because we're going to discuss all the major issues as quickly as possible we can because, see, a half an hour is not an hour. We wish it was. But, you know, we want to let him, the professional, tell you about all the diseases in your mouth. Would you like to tell
Let
them?
me start by just saying, really briefly, I was out in the field at Fort Hood, Texas, and mail was delivered out to us, and I received an invitation to get an interview to go to the dental school in Philadelphia at Penn.
Mm-hmm.
And the invitation was sent by Dr. Lewis Rose. He was an MD and a DMD. And he took a big risk, and I got accepted into the program.
Oh, okay.
20 years later, he took another big risk, and he wrote an article comparing diseases that exist in the mouth and how they affect diseases that can really give you a lot of trouble throughout the whole body.
Yes.
20 years after that, a lot of the anecdotal evidence that he based his paper on became scientific fact. A lot of the bacteria, a lot of the inflammation that emanates from the mouth affects so many different healthcare issues that we all have to keep an eye on. We all have to maintain our health. Bacteria in the mouth can adversely affect things like your heart. Inflammation in the mouth can affect things like your heart. We used to think many years ago the biggest issue for coronary artery disease and heart problems was high blood pressure and cholesterol.
Yes.
Now we know that there's another factor, C-reactive proteins. C-reactive proteins emanate from chronic inflammation in parts of the body. One of the major parts of the body where inflammation exists is in the mouth. I remember, subsequent to advice from you gentlemen, I called Washington, D.C. to a Colonel Kyle, who is the head lobbyist for the American Dental Association in D.C.
Okay.
I said, Colonel Kyle, we're trying so hard to get more dental coverage for the veterans in the VA system. Wyman, it's going to cost too much. It's already very expensive, the limited amount of dental care that exists in the VA system. If we cover appropriate amounts of dental care, it's going to be exorbitantly expensive. All right. The challenge was made clear to me at that point. I had to justify the cost. It's easy to do. If we let heart disease run rampant, it costs so much more to treat poor kids that come down and need bypass surgery. God forbid, needs heart transplant. valve replacements, repeats of all these surgical procedures. Let's give them thorough cleanings. It's so much more cost effective. Let's go to another area. I'm getting a little bit older now, so a lot of the people that I grew up with that participated in sports are now coming down with issues with their joints. I just went to a burial about 3-4 days ago over at Fourth Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
Great athlete. He represented us in the Munich Olympics. I think that was in '72.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. He had trouble with his joints. Pole vaulters, trouble with the joints. Basketball players, trouble with the joints. Football players, oh my gosh. Sometimes they become bionic men and bionic people because of all the joint problems. If we don't adequately take care of inflammation in the mouth, a lot of these beautiful surgical procedures that are done to correct the joint problems will fail. Ask anybody that does surgical procedures in orthopedic surgery, if you have to redo a joint that's been replaced, it is much more complex. It is much more fraught with complications. Let's go ahead and do some minor cost investment in taking care of the mouth so we can get these initial treatments of the joint replacement to work so we don't have to redo them.
Now, speaking of that, about, like the mouth treatment, now I'm going to bring it on another subject about the opioid situation. And now, that is bad for the mouth, for your teeth and everything, because, see, what we're saying out there, please listen. Not just veterans, but you civilians also. This is very important, what we're discussing this evening, because, see, your mouth is just like the commercial say, your mind is a terrible thing to waste. Your mouth is also something that you need to pay attention to, because, see, smoking opioids. If you know a lot of people that smoke cocaine or whatever, but opioids, period, you always see that they teeth had be deteriorating and stuff, turn colors and stuff. That's not because. And then it's a lot of things we're gonna talk about quickly, but gingivitis and everything. It's what mouth disease causes. And here's the man that's gonna explain it to you. And if you want to call in, feel free at 312-238-1060.
Commander Thompson, I want to clarify something. I'm not an oral surgeon. I'm a general dentist.
Okay.
However, when I was going to dental school, I had the opportunity to take many elective courses in oral surgery. The head of the oral surgery department at Penn was a Colonel Guernsey, who prior to becoming head of the department at Penn had been chief at Walter Reed.
Okay.
He retired as a colonel. And any extracurricular, any elective course that I could take from Colonel Guernsey, I was honored to take. So when I graduated and I came back to Chicago, I was prepared to render oral surgical procedures. And I cannot tell you how often I would prescribe opioids to help with discomfort subsequent to my procedures. Now, knowing what I know down the road, I wish I had not prescribed opioids as often as I did, because the literature is showing 6 to 8% of people that received legitimate opioid prescriptions for dental pain ended up developing addiction problems.
Yes.
6 to 8%. So we know now we've got to somehow dodge the need for prescribing opioids, no matter how complicated, no matter how much discomfort there is. Well, thank God, we recognize what the problem is. We've come up with several techniques. One technique, we intervene as quickly as possible if we see infection before it becomes really big, really rampant. In the Veterans Administration, a lot of the veterans come in and they have dental infections, and they can't get appropriate treatment to get rid of the focus of the problem. All right, so what do? Well, 5 years ago, they used to give them opioids and say, find a private dentist that'll take care of you. Well, it's hard finding a private dentist that'll cost effectively take care of your dental problems.
Now you're talking about thousands of dollars now.
If you're lucky for some of these procedures, sometimes it's even more than that. And so what would happen? These guys would tighten their belt buckle and move forward and take the opioids, and then they'd re-present to the VA without having definitively taken care of their problem. Another prescription of opioids, it became a problem.
Yes. Well, you know, folks out there, let me say this. That drone that got shot down, do you know how much that drone cost us? $100 million. Did you hear me? $100 million for that one drone that got shot down. Don't tell me, Congress, you can't allocate the necessary resources to protect our veterans, because you can. Just like you like to get in the walls of Congress and tell us veterans how much you love us. The sad part about it is because after you tell us how much you love us, you end up voting no on them bills that's going to give us the benefits that we need. So, I mean, give me a break, Congress.
Build us up and kick us that back down.
Yeah.
You know, $100 million is a lot of money.
Yes, it is. And that's for one drone.
But compared to the amount that it costs us all to take care of the cardiac problems we have in the country,
Yes.
we're talking multiple billions of dollars to treat all the cardiac problems, which are compounded by the fact we're not adequately taking care of inflammation in the mouth,
Yes.
C-reactive proteins. Let's invest in treating more of these problems in the mouth. And I'm not even talking, is it the right thing to do? Of course it's the right thing to
Yes.
do. These veterans have stood up, preserving our way of life, preserving our freedom. But even if I'm totally cold, totally without ethics, just looking at it in terms of numbers, it makes sense to take care of these kids.
And a veteran had to be 100%. 100% in order to get proper, as they say, proper, I had to laugh on that, proper dental care. But see, then too, you have to look at it this way. With the VA system, they're still not, even if you be 100%, they're still not taking care of all the necessary needs for dental care as they should.
Right.
Because see, then too, those under 100%, the VA tell them that they would do the work, but they would have to charge them.
And that's wrong.
And
That's exactly mean testing.
Yes, that's
Mean
one of the mean
testing is
tests.
wrong.
Yes, because see, then too, sometimes the VA charge more than a local clinic.
When you two gentlemen are talking this way, what comes to my mind, you're concerned about taking care of the people that you associated with in the military.
Yes.
Yes.
And many times these people were underneath you, but we're trained. We take care of the people underneath us. And we do it because it's the right thing to do, but we also do it because we want them to be there to cover for us if we need them.
Right.
Yes.
All right, so you're standing up because if an emergency came up, you gentlemen can go and arrange to get your dental care. But some of the people that were underneath us,
They can't.
they can't. We have to stand up for them. I'll never forget something that happened in my office that really hit me emotionally. I was working on a patient, and Rita came in, my wife, and she said, there are two gentlemen out in the waiting room. How much longer are you going to be with your patient? Because it's pretty important you see these two fellas. Give me about 6-7 minutes. We're just finishing up, and then I'll come out. Finish up, everything's smooth, say goodbye to Mrs. Jones or whoever it was. I come out. It was a colonel and a 2-star general.
Whoa.
And it was two people that I've known since I was 18 years old. And they came to my office because rules are changing in
Yes.
terms of how dentistry is going to be provided. In other words, I think one of the rules was they're going to send people out to the private sector with insurance to try and get dental care. And these two gentlemen, who I guarantee you can afford to pay the fee for their dental care for themselves and for their family, were trying to find the best way to approach this problem. So when people underneath them came to them, they would give them the right answer. They were concerned, and this is something that carried over from their days in the military. They were concerned about taking care of their people. And I said, guys, I've got about 10 minutes until my next patient. I can't begin to go into all the complexities of dental insurance. But let's make an arrangement to get together where I can go through to the best of my ability what insurance is and what insurance isn't. And when I show you what insurance isn't, I think you're going to be supportive of me in my fight to get more coverage in the VA system, because insurance is not a cure for the problem that we have identified.
That's so true.
It's really, a lot of the buildings you see going up around our town in Chicago are being funded by insurance companies. They're not being funded by the veterans that are going to try and get dental care. They're being funded by the profits that the insurance companies are making.
They make major profits now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we arranged to have a supper where we got together. And they showed me the different insurances that they were being provided for. And I showed one of them, look, for an exam, cleanings, and x-rays, the fee is going to be this. And your insurance is going to pay maybe 1/2, if you're lucky, to 2/3 of the fee. And you're going to have a deductible that you have to pay. Right. And then, God forbid, you need some really sophisticated care.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, it might cover 30% of the fee that they dictate is appropriate. And the fee that the insurance company dictates is appropriate might be much less than what the dentist wants to charge. The veteran's not coming out. The veteran's not coming out. He'd be much better off if we could take care of him in the VA system efficiently, with good techniques, and affordably.
To our civilian audience out there, you just heard the doctor. What he just told you is that our veterans, the soldiers who put their lives on the line for you to have the freedoms that you got, that they need your help. We need you to get in contact with your congressperson
Any
and
representative.
let them know how critical this issue is to our veterans. We, as veterans, we belong to all of you. Because we who went into the military, whether we volunteered or got drafted, it doesn't matter. We put our lives on the line. And now we're asking you to help us. And it's sad, it's very sad, that we have to even go this route. But it is the truth. And as the doctor pointed out, and I heard it today on the news, it took, matter of fact, one of the presidential candidates even talked about the fact that the government finally recognized Agent Orange after all these years. And I tell the story, my cousin who went to Vietnam, who got hit by Agent Orange, ended up dying in Hines Hospital or in a nursery division over there. He died from Agent Orange and did not get any benefits that some of the soldiers are getting today.
Yeah, because they couldn't identify it. But see, back to, the hygienes in the mouth and stuff like that, they be, okay, just like we talking about commercials, about different type of toothpaste and stuff. Excuse me. This toothpaste could do this, this toothpaste could do that. Okay, commercials will tell you anything and everything, but you still need that dentist.
Yes.
You know, I've been giving a lot of thought to this problem. I'm very optimistic. You know, you say it's sad that we have to fight for this. But hey, we're veterans.
Right.
We're used to this.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
We can stand up and fight for what we think is right and stand for what we think is right for the people we care about. And we will. There are many things that are worth fighting for.
Yes.
And down the road, when we've achieved victory, and we will,
I think so.
it's going to be that much sweeter
Yes.
when we win.
And let me say this, because I was talking to one of the nurses at the VA, and she pointed out to me that in their recent studies, they are beginning to realize, as she pointed out, how the mouth affects the other parts of the body.
Yeah,
The
diabetes.
research is out there now.
Tremendous correlations between inflammation and gum disease and diabetic conditions. And anybody that's done any reading about diabetes, they know diabetics are much more susceptible to cardiovascular issues.
Yes.
We haven't even touched about malignant conditions, which is terribly aggravating for people that suffer from malignant conditions, terribly aggravating for the families. Malignant conditions many times are brought about at a much more frequent rate because of inflammation in the mouth. Literature has shown this. Now, how do we deal with this inflammation in the mouth? I've basically been delegating a lot of my energies to figure out how we're going to solve and bring forth more dental care for the veterans once the bill passes, because it's going to pass.
Yes.
I have tremendous
Oh, yes.
confidence in this country. When you educate the appropriate people, they will stand up and do the right thing.
Yes.
The issue is, how are we going to deliver the care to so many more people? And I've been giving it a lot of thought, and I think the number one problem that we have is inflammation. What's the best way to get rid of inflammation? Thorough cleaning. A lot of thorough cleaning can be done by dental hygienists under the supervision of a dentist.
Yes.
Maybe we can delegate this to very competent, highly trained dental hygienists under the supervision of dentists. Another issue came up, and we discussed this at a Coalition of Veterans Organization meeting. I got a call right before the meeting started from a young lady that produces a TV show, the American Heroes Channel. And she says, Wyman, what's taking so long? We've got to get this mission accomplished. Till it gets through Congress, how are you going to deliver the care? All of a sudden, I thought about something that had come up that week. Bruce Perry, a gentleman that we both know.
Yes.
He's one of the fellows in our group. Bruce was on the ground in Vietnam, Silver Star recipient, Airborne Ranger. He got a request from a friend of his going back to when he was at his first year at the academy. His friend Dave died. Dave was a dentist. I knew Dave in dental school. Before Dave came to our dental school, he was in the infantry on the ground in Vietnam. And the classic story that Bruce knows, and it's the same story that I know, Dave was leading an infantry patrol in the jungle, and they got hit. And they had to bring fire upon the people that were firing on them. And one of the men threw a grenade at the direction of the fire. The grenade hit a tree and bounced back into Dave's lap.
Wow.
The gentleman had forgot to pull the pin.
Oh,
that
thank you,
was
Jesus.
I don't think Dave was ever quite the same guy. But God bless him, he was one of the finest, most special people I've ever met in my life.
You know, Commander, when you having fun, time flies.
Oh my God.
Doc, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
And as the commander said, you will be back
Yes.
So-
Let's all of us be back. We got a
Yes.
good thing to fight for.
Oh, yeah. Right quick, speaking to the Illinois state legislations, we will be down there from July 10th to July 15th discussing our dental care. When then, Washington, watch out because we're having a national meeting with you all in August, from August 25th to August 29th. So we're bringing up our proposal with you all. And so we just like to tell you, everybody, thank you. We hope to see you
that
all
fantastic
again.
technician and the first lady. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Until
Till
Miss
next time.
Ryan.